Here's the contact info for Sarah Johnston.
Thank you for telling me that. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me okay now. All right. So thanks so much for coming in. The whole point of this video was to cover the new Python functionality with Vex VR. I know it's a Friday night. A lot of people don't usually come out to things like this on a Friday night, but we're doing our best to get this stuff out to you. So a couple things that I want to talk about. First, I want to show the platform and how you can get in and how you can access Python within Vex VR. I want to be able to answer some questions, even if it's just me and one other person in live chat right now. You will help me to come up with any answers to any questions that others might have. And so like I've said in my past live streams, make sure that you're thinking of questions, not just for you, but for others that might have similar questions. All right. So with that said, just give you a quick update on my channel. Doing really good. I've got a lot of new subscribers, which is awesome. We started a Vex VR Facebook group. There'll be a link in the description. I think there might be one there. I don't know. But we'll make sure that you get that, or just search Vex VR on Facebook and join that group. We have several students that have signed up for the robotics camp that we're offering. Awesome. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate you saying that. The robotics camp has, I believe, over 75 participants now that are going to be attending a virtual camp in June. And we have students from all over the United States, and even some international students from other parts of the world. So it's pretty exciting, pretty amazing. We're really looking forward to doing that. If you're wondering why I keep saying we and us, it's because I am president of a nonprofit organization called West Robotics. We are a 501c3 organization, which means the IRS recognizes us as tax exempt. You're able to give donations and get tax write-offs, all the good stuff, okay? But enough about me and our organization. Let's look at Vex VR and talk about how you might be able to do that and learn about that. All right, so let me switch my view here so that you can see. I've got Vex VR open. All right, there we go. I got Vex VR open, and you can see that it's just a normal VR screen with the blocks. So as soon as you go there, you don't really see anything different except for one little button. And I got my mouse over there bugging around over it. Okay, I'll zoom in. This button right here, which is the brackets, or the less than, greater than symbols. It's funny because you don't really use less than or greater than, excuse me, you don't use tags in Python that I'm aware of, just less than and greater than. But anyway, I think the idea is it looks like a common symbol you would use in code. So this is the regular size of the screen, kind of small. And if I'm using live streaming, I want to zoom in. So if things look a little cramped, sometimes the reason I'm doing it is so that all of you guys out there can see it okay with a lower resolution, a lower quality, because of the live stream. All right, so the very first program we do with something in any kind of coding is we call it like a hello world. And one of the things that Vex code is, it's like drive forward is the new hello world, right? So we'll just drag a drive forward for 200 millimeters, drag that over there, and then click start. This will get our playground open. It'll get the robot doing something, and so we can see something. With my students, you always want to start with a small success of some kind of small win, so that they can go, oh, look at that. That's easy. I can code. Once you've done that and you've gone through, say, my blocks tutorials, and you really feel like you've maximized, you've gotten everything you can out of blocks. And I have a 17 video series, maybe I think it's 18 now, on Vex IQ blocks, or Vex VR blocks. Vex IQ or Vex Code IQ blocks, I have some videos on that for the physical robots, but right now, since we're doing all this distance learning stuff, or learning at home or homeschooling, whatever you want to call it, I wanted to focus on VR for now. All right, so let's go ahead and click on that code button, and a new tray opens up on the right-hand side. And you can see, here, I'll hide the playground. I always do that. Click on something and it clicks double or something. Okay. So you can see off to the right, we actually have our Python code. So struggling with disk transport, I see in the chat. Okay. Did you watch my disk transport video and did it help? That's my question. You can put that in chat. But we're looking at the code viewer right now, and we see that it has my variable equals 0. And my variable equals 0 because they already have on blocks, and here I'll just show you real quick, they automatically under it's going to keep doing that. Under variables, they have a my variable already set up. If I delete the my variable, let me show you what happens. So I'll have that code open. Come on, code tray. There we go. Okay, there we go. I'll go to variables, and then I'll right click on my variable and say delete my variable. Boom, it's gone. So the code over here updates in real time as I'm using the blocks. So you can use the Python code in your in your class, in your learning. It's going to keep doing that. Every time I click to drag, I actually click on activities. If you're wondering what's happening, that's what's happening. So if the code viewer was available in the beginning, when I very first started these tutorials, I would every now and then be opening up that code viewer and just showing the the text version of what we were working on. And so one of the things you can see here is that you can collapse and expand. We've got define when underscore started one with those open and close parentheses is we're defining a function here. And so then we have drivetrain dot drive for, and then these are the arguments, forward 200 millimeters. And you'll notice that if you've ever done any kind of text-based, some of you guys are coming from Robot C or other programming languages, and you'll notice that in Python we don't have the opening and closing curly braces. We don't have a lot of the things that you would normally be used to. So when we define this when started function, we have a colon, and then there's a line break and then an indentation. So indenting is important. In other codes, in other coding languages, white space doesn't matter, but in Python, it does. So you need to make sure that you are aware of that. Every little space bar, hit can make a huge difference in your programming. All right, so it's one of those things that I think makes it easier, but then at other times it does make it more difficult. All right, quick disclaimer. I am not a Python coder. I have experience with a little bit of a lot of different languages, PHP, of course, HTML, CSS. I've had some experience with a little bit of Java, JavaScript, C++, C back in the day, BASIC. So I've had experience with a lot of languages, but like itty-bitty bite sizes. I am familiar, probably more than most folks, with the structure and the definitions of a lot of words from programming. So a word like array is not a word we use very commonly in our standard language, as we talk. So this is an opportunity to learn about programming, not so much necessarily learn Python. And that's why I'm bringing this up. This is valuable information if you focus on concepts. If you get too much in the weeds of how to do something very specific in Python and you lose sight of the fact that this is for learning other, stuff that will translate or be able to be generalized into other areas, then you're probably gonna, it won't be as authentic of a learning experience as it could be. All right, so in the chat it says you searched up for coding language VR Vex uses. It didn't say anything about Python. Okay, so that is a good thing to bring up. This the Python stuff was just released yesterday. So literally like last evening, it's been just barely 24 hours that the Python stuff has been available for Vex VR. I was gonna get a video out earlier this morning, but I had some technical difficulties. So I was like, well, I'll do a live stream because I wanted to be able to help people with any questions about, Python and the new functionality. And I thought there would be a lot more interest. I mean, no offense to those of you who are watching, I really appreciate it. But I did think there would be a little bit more interest in it, but that's okay. I'm sure that this video will get a lot more views once it's a video and available to be watched later. Anyway, enough of that. So that's basically, that's the majority of what you're going to need to at least just introduce students to Python. And so you could leave that little code tray open. I could say, drive forward for 200 and then turn right for 90. And then I can see that it added it there. And one of the things you can talk about is that this is an object-oriented program language. And so drivetrain is an object, and that object will have attributes. And there's different functions that can be run on that object. So drivetrain dot and then drive_4 is a function with the parentheses for entering in the arguments for that function. So it's a great opportunity to expose people to this. If you're already a coder, if you've already had some text experience, you're going to love this. I love the fact that I can get a whole program done with blocks. Oops. And then convert it to text. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. But let's make this guy go in a square. So I'm going to do this 4 times. All right. So I'll look over here and I see now that I have when started one is going to be for repeat count in range for drivetrain dot drive 4 forward 200 millimeters drivetrain dot turn for right 90 degrees and then wait 5 msec. They always put the wait 5 msec in there when you have a loop or a repeat, and that is there to reduce system resources. Otherwise, it's going to repeat so fast it could, take up system resources. So it's a good practice to add just that 5 milliseconds in there. All right, I'm going to click Start. Oh, and it's down there where we can't see it. Get up here. Did it again. All right, let me try it again. Can you decrease what? So the question in chat is, can we decrease that? Can you decrease what? Excuse me. Okay, so I did my little box there. Now, something that you cannot do in blocks is run, multitasking or multi-threading. And you'll notice here that the function that's going on here is called VR_thread when started. So it's a VR thread. So I'm going to convert this to a text project. The problem is when you do that, and the button is down here in the lower right. I don't know if you can see it there. My head was in the way. When you convert text project, you will not be able to go back to the blocks. And yes, the 5 msecs you can use 5. You could use 1 millisecond. You don't even have to use any. But 1 1 MSEC, 5. It's just really is not going to make that big a difference. 4 thousandths of a second probably won't make that big a difference in a thing like Vex VR. So when I convert to text, I'm going to get this that says your project was never saved. Save it now. And I'm going to say do that because you have a block-based program right now. Click download. And there you go. I got a file that ends in .vr blocks. So if I do mess up something and I want to go back to, what worked, maybe my blocks program worked just now. I was able to get it to drive in a square. And so I was like, yeah, that's great. And now I convert it to text. And if I go in here, even just for a minute and accidentally hit something, it worked a second ago. Now I press play. And I'm going to get a runtime error occurs. I'll click OK. The monitor tray, there it is again. The monitor happens, it pulls up, and it gives me this red very happens. Right? I know what I did. I got rid of a closed parentheses right there, so I put it back. Now I'll click run, and there you go. My code is running. A couple things different about the text is you don't have the step through feature. It's gone. I don't know if that's something they'll bring back or bring back for the text version. It could, maybe step through the line numbers that the code is executing, but it's not there for right now. Deleting the variables, and that's an interesting question, Allison. I'm wondering if you were watching and then skipped ahead to the live or how the live chat works. If you're not going to hear me answer that until you get to this part in the video, I'll try to explain it. Let's see here. I'll chat with you real quick. Can you hear me explaining it now? There's no real, it's not necessary to delete the variable. And in fact, I can put it back in the code when I'm now using text-based. Then I'm going to zoom in. What we deleted earlier, and if you remember what we had, okay, I'm going to go, this is not the best keyboard for coding. We had, it was called like my variable. I'll just call it my var. My var, and then I'll say equals 0. Okay, so now I have a variable that equals 0, and then what it did was it established that as a global variable. My underscore var. Okay, and I don't think we need to assign it a value. We already did. And anytime if you want to just like make sure that it's working fine, you can push play. If it doesn't throw an error, you should be fine. And of course, I keep clicking that stupid button. I need to drag it from over here. All right, so our code works just fine. Now, we set up a variable that we're not using, so I guess we might be able to use it later for something. Like for instance, the my variable, we could set it here, and you would just put in my underscore var. And this is the same thing, but you'll notice it's so much faster if you know what you're doing in text. So much faster to do this, to just go in and change something real quick than going and finding the block and dragging and dropping it. And so I think I totally messed up right here. Oh yeah, because I said my var is 0. So of course it's just going to turn, drive 0, turn, drive 0, turn, drive 0. So up here, we'll make it 400. How about that? Yep. And I'll push stop and then go. Now it should go in a box that's 400. Yeah. All right. So that's just one thing you can do. The cool thing about another cool thing about Python is you don't have to declare a type. So if again, this is for a lot of you who know programming. If you don't know programming and I'm saying stuff that's intimidating or you're not sure, don't worry about it. This is one of the reasons how you're going to pick up the knowledge and information if you're interested in text-based coding, which is really to say just to say coding, right? If you're interested in coding, then just try to soak it in, okay? So Allison's saying the video's cutting in and out, okay? for everyone. How's the video? Okay, cool. All right, that's good to know. All right, so let's see here. And I don't think the delay is too long either. I think I'm getting your chats pretty quick from when I respond. But sometimes there is a delay, right? So just remember that. All right, so the thing about my Python with variables is you don't have to say like in other languages you might have to say like int to say that it's an integer. You don't have to do that in Python. It will take on the data type that it needs. All right. So for instance, right here, this will be an integer. If I were to put a 0.0, it'll automatically be a float. Okay. A floating point. All right. So one of the things I was going to show you that you can do in this code that you cannot do in the regular blocks is multitasking. So right here, I'm going to define another function. And actually, you know what? I think I need to put in. So I'm not a Python coder, remember? So sometimes I might have issues with syntax, but we'll figure it out, okay? So this will be the reporting. I'm going to call this the reporting function and go like that. And then they're using tabs, so I'll do tabs as well. I'm going to say brain dot print, and now you notice the autocomplete. Pretty cool. So as soon as I start to see it, what I want, I can push enter on that one, or if I want to set print color, I could do that. But I'm just going to do that right there. Print. And what am I going to print? I'm going to print hello in quotes. Or, you know what, we'll say reporting started. Like that. All right, and then I'm going to push enter and then say brain dot new line, just like that. And now I'm on a new line. So the interesting thing about this is I of course, I don't need to have a second, function. But there's some things that I'm going to do where I do need to have another function or another thread running at the same time. Because the functional characteristic of programming for a robot means if you have it going forward and then waiting for a moment before it does another thing, then that can be really tricky to program something where if you push a button, you want everything to shut down, right? Because it might be stuck inside of a loop or it might be working on something. And so doing the threading like this will allow you to run multiple things at the exact same time. Even though technically it's not, it's going through some code and then jumping over to the other code and then jumping over to the other code and then jumping over to the other code. All right. So the way that I can get this function running in our program is I need to go down and say VR underscore thread. All right. And then I can say reporting like that. And now it'll run. So when I push run, I need to have the little tray open. And you can see here that my robot is going around and it says reporting started. So I can have for instance, it reporting every single, every 10th of a second, for instance, I can have it report its X value. Let's do the Y value because it'll be a little bit more interesting. Or we could even do both. Let's just do that real quick. And then I'm going to go back to the beginning and do a very simple program in Python. For those of you who your brain might be starting to hurt right now, I'm going to do a very simple program that you can follow along and do no problem. Okay. So let me clear this and go back to my code. And I'm going to get rid of that for now. All right, so I'm going to do new line. And now I want a loop because I want it to continually do something. So I'm going to say while, and I'm going to throw this in here for those of you who remember Robot C. While 1 is equal to 1, and that's the comparator, that you do the equal. The equals by itself is assigning a value. Equals means you're comparing the two values. If 1 is equal to 1, in our universe as we know it, 1 will always equal 1. And so this is saying while, if that condition is met, do everything that's underneath, right? So do everything that's indented right below it. So I'm going to say brain dot print. And the reason I think they have brain there instead of just print is that I think they're going to do where you can actually have stuff printing on the controller. So when you start doing V5 and you got one of these guys, I think you might be able to print stuff on the screen of the controller, which is pretty BA. Anyway, okay, so brain.print, and then whatever we put in here, this value right here is what it's going to print. Well, I don't want to put, let's see here. I'm going to put quote X value is like that. And to concatenate, again, for any programmers that are listening, to concatenate, I've always thought in Python you're supposed to use the plus symbol, but it doesn't seem to be working. So, but the comma does, which I would assume is for putting in an additional argument or something. But this has been working for me, so this is what I'm doing. To concatenate this, I'm saying X value is, and then we need to get that X value. So I go to sensing, because I don't remember what that is. I don't remember off the top of my head, and so that's why you don't have to memorize. So I'm going to put the X value, or sensing, it is called location. Yep, location position X in millimeters. I'll click and drag it and put it right there. All right. So that's going to give me my X value. And then I'll push enter. And so the reason you don't have to have this right here, right? I could have just location.position, right? But then it's just going to print out a number. Putting that there in the quotes, that's for the human, right? So that's when I'm looking at stuff, I know what I'm looking at. And then I need to make sure I put brain.newline so that I go to the next line before it prints out the next value. Then I also want to make sure, now I've been having issues with this, so if you know what I'm doing wrong here, you tell me, okay? Let's see if you know what, let me go to the control here. Control. And you can say wait for, let's say 1 second. Okay, I don't want, I'll get it every 1 second. Let's see if that works just the way it is. I'm worried I'm going to get an error. No, I don't. Okay, cool. So look at that. Every second, it's spitting out X value is, and then telling you what the X value is. So, you know, the fact is that I have those two threads running at the same time. It's able to continually work on an infinite loop, you know, that's going on, this infinite loop right here, and still carry out other commands that are part of another function going on. All right, so that's how we call it threading. All right. So now let's, as promised, go back to, and by the way, I could do Y coordinates as well. I could just, you know, copy and paste that and then do the Y coordinate. Just change this X to a Y. Pretty straightforward, okay? I'm going to open up a new tab so that I don't lose what I had done over there. And I'm going to show you the simplest possible program I think that you can write in Vex VR Python, okay? What you want to do is get yourself into VR, and we'll collapse this box so we have more room. Get that guy out of the... Can you even get rid of that? No, you can't. Okay, put that over there. Open up that say convert to text project, discard. Yeah. All right. Collapse this little thing right here again. Okay. Boom. Now you've got, very little on the page to make things not so intimidating, make it a lot easier. Okay. I'm going to highlight all that and delete it. Okay. So you got, it's just line 1. Okay. Brain.print. Brain.print. And then open parenthesis, and then in quotes, hello world. All right. You can put in your name. You could say hello Mark, hello whatever. Just put it in quotes. And that's it. Go to the end and push enter. Congratulations, you wrote a program. Now when I click start, it's a virtual robot program. That's the whole point of this thing, or programming tool, right? So you're going to have this playground pop up with that robot. And the robot's not going to do anything. But if I open up the monitor window, I can see there that it printed hello world. So there's a lot of things that I can do, not even worrying about the robot for now, just to see, kind of how it works in there, right? Now, let's say I want to say, let's do at the beginning. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Down here, I have to click clear to get rid of whatever's in that little monitor, right? So click clear. But I'm going to be running this a lot. So I'm going to go up to the line 1 again and push enter. So that my first line. And like many programming languages, it goes in order from top to bottom. So in line 1, I'm going to put brain.clear with nothing in there, right? And then that's it. So now I know every time I run this, it's going to clear whatever's there. It's going to say print hello world, and then I want it to go to a new line. Brain dot new line, and then brain dot print anything we want, right? And actually, I want to just show you can put in like a number, and that's a value, so then you don't actually have to put it in quotes. All right. Quotes is only for like if you're putting a string of letters, or if you could put the 1 in quotes if you wanted to make sure it didn't understand it as a number, but just as another character like anything. So I'm going to push start. There you go. Hello world. And then 1. Now, because we have a value of 1, I'm going to push enter a couple more times and have something up here. I'm going to create a variable. All right. I'm going to create a variable called your name, or my name, my underscore name. And it's going to equal quote Mark. Okay. So my name equals Mark. Now when I go in here, instead of it saying hello world, I want it to say hello Mark. Well, I need it to say hello first and then a comma so that I can add what else I want it to print. And then I can type in my name as the variable. All right, let's give it a shot and see what happens. There you go. So change to hello Mark, and then that 1 down there is at the bottom, right? Another way you could do this is instead of doing this new line, I'm just going to get rid of that. All right, you can say hello, and then remember I'm not doing a new line. And just like that, this should do the exact same thing. Of course, we're going to get rid of that 1 there. It'll disappear. And so just right there, ready? Ready? Is it ready? Here we go. Boom. Hello, Mark. No space. Okay, so if I put a space there, that'll probably fix it. Boom. Okay. All right. Real simple. Are there any questions so far? If you are watching the recording, and if you have a question, please put it in the comments so that we can answer that for you. All right. Let's say I want to do something else here. Let's use a loop to print out some stuff. Let's say, do you know what Fibonacci numbers are? Let's not worry about it. Let's do something that does a that squares a number, right? So square the number. And we'll use that. Well, that's, you know what? Well, that's boring. Now let's just look at some numbers, all right? So let's just do num as a variable, and we'll say num is 0. And hello, Mark, and then we'll do brain. Clear. No, not clear. New line. New line. All right, now I'm going to do a loop. So I'll say for. This is a for loop. And you can do index, or you can do I for index and range. Range is the function. So I'm going to do something 10 times. And I can say, let's say num equals num plus 1. Can do that. And then I can say print. Oh, brain. I need brain. Brain.print. And then num. Right, and I'll print that value. Brain.clear, or not clear. Why do I keep doing that? New line, just like that. Oops. So I should get the numbers 1 through 10, right? Well, let's see. Clear and stop and go. Yep. Let me go back to the regular view here. There we go. 1 through 10. Now, what if I wanted to show number 1 through 3? I can change the range here, or let's say 3 through 10. I could do 3, comma 10. And now all of a sudden I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so it didn't start at 3 because it just it went through the range from 3 to 10. We could say index equals, or num equals index plus 1. Like that. And then we've got 4 through 10. So there's different things you can do. It's a lot more powerful. And what I just did there would have taken me probably twice as long to do in the blocks side. Way longer to do that in blocks. But if you don't know how to code, then that's okay. That's why blocks are there. But you can do stuff in blocks that you can't do. The other way around. You can do stuff in the coding that you can't do in blocks. All right. So yeah, if there's no questions, I think I just want to see if I can go through and solve one of the challenges in just in text. So I'm going to go to the activities. Now I actually want to click on activities and scroll down, and let's look at basketball drills. That's that first one there. Okay. So basketball drills level 3, because we're big boys and girls now, is build an algorithm, a process or set of rules, to move through all 1 to 8 grid squares in sequential order. The VR robot should move to 1, back to the start, move to 2, back to the start, and continue this pattern for all 8 grid squares. Oh, we got a request for for disk transport. Okay, I can do disk transport. Let's go to disk transport. Well, disk transport. Ooh, wait a second. This is called Castle Color Match. Even though you transport disks, this one's called Disk Mover. And is there a different one called Disk Transport? Storm the castle, sweep the castle. The castle? Oh, the castle disk transport. Well, let's see. Where is that one? Yeah. Castle color match. That's what it's called. I don't know. I hope this is the one you're talking about. This one is a pain in the butt. Look at all the people that are on here right now looking at this thing. Anonymous. Let's see who all is in here. They're all anonymous. Why isn't that nobody's logged in as in and then it'll show my little face right there. All these people that are looking. Okay, Castle color match. We got a confirmation that a viewer would like me to do this one. All right, so it says using the electromagnet, pick up and place 3 discs of each color inside each colored goal. Then hide the remaining 3 discs behind the wall around the castle. It shows as disk transport on your end? Really? Maybe you need to refresh or something but is this exactly the same thing? Is this the exact same assignment? We're going to use it to pick them up and place each color. Okay, so use the electromagnet, pick up and place all 4 discs of each color inside the correct colored goals located outside the castle walls. Sure. Okay, so if this is it, this is what you want me to do, we can do it. Now, here's the disclaimer. If this is your homework, all right, don't copy what I do, all right? Just honor system here, okay? It's one thing to watch somebody do coding or even copy someone's code, and if you give them attribution, like you say that you did, that you used somebody else's code, that's fine. Especially since coders do give away their stuff all the time for people to use. But if you are doing this for an assignment for school, there's a fair amount of struggle that your teacher wanted you to do on your own, right? And there's a reason for that, and that's it's part of the learning process, all right? But if you're struggling to the point where you're stuck and you just can't get past it, then that's, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to show you exactly how I would do it. I still want you to kind of come up with your own twist on it. All right? If you do end up copying the majority of my code and you make your own little adjustments, be truthful with your teacher about it. All right? That's all I'm going to say. Just tell them I was stuck. I watched this tutorial video and this guy showed me, how to do this a little bit. And so just wanted, to let you know that it's not all my code, but I understand it and I can do, something else. It won't hurt yourself. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and just do file new blocks project, discard. Let's look at that challenge again. It says using the electromagnet, pick up and place all 4 discs of each color inside the correct color goal located outside the castle walls. Are you wanting me to do this in text in Python or to do it in blocks? Because, we can do it in blocks pretty easily, pretty fast, I think. Let's just go to the drivetrain. We know that wherever our robot is probably going to start out driving forward. So I'm going to push play and get that playground open. I need to go to that's why it's called disk transport. They've got the naming conventions messed up. So it's called disk transport, even though over here it's called castle color match. Oh, it says playground disk transport. Okay, so I'm silly. So the assignment is called castle color match. The playground that's used is called disk transport. No problem. All right. So we've got let's say, what is this? This is 2, 4, 6, 8. So I think we're going to need to go about 700. Let's see. We need to go 700 forward. And my video didn't help. I thought I did a whole video on this, like complete, and I even used I used some functions to go through, because I noticed that it's mirrored here. You can see that the 6 discs on the right are mirrored with the 6 discs on the left. And then I wanted to make sure it went in the right box, so I would just, I would use the down facing eye to tell if it was red, green, or blue. So that video was too complicated, or it didn't work, or what? What was the issue with the video? Come on, tell me what's wrong with my video. Why didn't you like it? Huh? Okay, but that's okay. We'll do this a simple way right now. Okay, we're gonna drive forward for 700, and we're gonna turn right. We want to get those 2 green ones. So turn right for 90. So you say, yeah, you liked the video, but you still want me to do this live for you because what? It didn't work. All right, now I know I'm going to need to drive forward again. Of course, my mouse is giving me problems. Drive forward for 200. Probably 400 is my guess. So this is going to be a lot longer program, but you can just do each step. And now, look, it went past it, right? So I probably only need to go 200. But I wanted to pick that disc up, so eventually I need to turn that electromagnet on. Okay, it's probably not going far enough, so I'll put it as 300. Now, if it goes past it a little bit, if I turn the electromagnet on, and I go energize to boost, if I turn it on back there when it does its turn, then when it goes forward, as soon as it gets to that disc, it'll pick it up. And the step function in this, or the step feature in this, see that? Picked it up, is going to be your friend, right? So if I refresh, when you use this step up here in the upper right, that's going to be your friend. It's going to show you how, it's going to show you how, like, what you're doing. Okay, like, that's the 700 one. If it doesn't go far enough, you can just adjust it. Okay, the electromagnet is on now. All right, there we go. All right. So let's restart that. We know that we're going to need to come right back to where we came from. So I'm going to drive in reverse for 300. I'm going to turn right 90 degrees and then drive forward for whatever, 700. Let's just copy this, pop it down here. So this is, this is time consuming. All right, so you tried what I did in the video, but it didn't work. Okay, I get that. So now I need to turn left. 90. And then drive forward for what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 800. Drivetrain forward, 800. Okay, and then magnet. Change the magnet to drop. Then drivetrain. Drive a reverse for 800. Drivetrain, turn left 90, and then I'll be ready for my next one. And then, you probably want to get in there and change your velocities, your drive and turn velocities so that you can make it do this a lot faster so you don't have to wait so long. But there you go. You got the green one. Oh, I didn't reverse for far enough. Should have reversed for 800. But you get the point, right? So, yeah, your program's going to end up being like bonkers long. Okay? It's going to be bonkers how long it is. Serious. But figure out which ones you want to go for. It would be helpful for you to do comments like this. Okay? This one is like get green number 1. Get first green disc. Okay, so those little comments are going to be helpful for you. That way, if you have this long pages and pages of stuff of getting all these disks like this, if you notice one, all of a sudden, you've been working on it and all of a sudden you notice one isn't working right, you'll be able to scroll through and look for your notes and figure out where your problem is. Okay. Especially since when it starts getting really long, that step function is going to take a lot longer to get through. All right. So the stream is just now been 1 hour, which is cool. And I think there's only a couple people watching, which is fine. Is there any... Okay, wait until front eye is near object. You could do that. You could. But the thing is that, no offense, you watched my video, but you had difficulty with that. So the reason that I'm showing you this is to give you the ability to complete your project. All right. I know you're frustrated and you're stressed out. At least that's the sense that I get from you. What I would recommend as a student is do this that I just explained. It'll take you a while. Get it done so that it works. Okay. Once you have it, it works, you've accomplished your goal, then save it, submit it, do whatever you need to do with it, or put it to the side, but don't lose it. That way you have it. Then go through and try and figure out how to make it better. And that's what I do, right? That's exactly what I would do. If I don't know quite how to use a loop, then I'll just write it out all times that I need to get it to work, because you're learning this, so you're going to build and build and build on top of it. That's the same thing with writing or math. You learn the long way first, all right, and then that helps you once you've learned the short way to understand what's happening the short way, what's happening inside of that short way. And then that also helps you to know when it's appropriate to use the short way or not, because you might need to use the long way. And if you don't know it, then you'll have difficulty. So this is a good learning process. Okay. So, I can show you how to do something when it sees the eye, but, probably what would be best is if anybody would like any kind of one-on-one help from me and assistance. I am available through Zoom or through Google Meet as part of our organization and what we do. If you are a minor, then we'll just need to make sure that you have parental consent to speak with me. And then we can chat and figure out what's going on with your code and help you out with it. Okay. Just send me an email to mark@westrobotics.org. I'll put that in the chat. Okay. And I can help you. Okay. Well, at this point, I am going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are awesome. Once again, this will be a recorded video that'll be available. And I might actually just re-record this to cover the points, the highlights, and then post that out later. Okay. Thanks so much. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.